in the kitchen with Chef ChefCarlaAndrea, and today I'm welcoming you guys to Lazy Sundays. You probably had an exciting weekend, you don't want to get off the couch, or if you're like me, you just had a facial and a massage and you don't want to do much, but what you do know is you gotta cook. So I think to myself, what do I do? What do I do? And at that moment, I let Biggie Smalls take over, and I think to myself, T-bone steaks, cheese, eggs, and Welch's Grape. It's simple, it's quick, it's fulfilling, and the best part of it all, it's homemade. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go over some ingredients and how we're gonna accomplish this meal. So the first thing I want to do, since it's Lazy Sundays and I clearly don't want to work too hard, I go ahead and I crack my eggs up, I grate my cheese early in the morning, so that way I don't have to be bothered, because I know at some point I need to eat dinner. Then I think to myself, what else can I do? So I get my T-bone steaks the night before, because I know I may have the drunchies, or I may have partied too much and I want to come home and soak up all that liquor. So I go and get me some T-bone steaks, I get me some marinade, I use the Lawry's marinade, and I just throw it on there and I grill it. Then after that, I think to myself, what also absorbs. Oh yeah, hand me that. Let me see, so they can see it. Alright, this is the marinade that I use. It's quick, it's simple, it's cheap, and it tastes good. So I like this one. I recommend that you guys use it on the Lazy Sundays, because even though it's a store-bought marinade and we didn't make it, it's still better than going to McDonald's, to a Five Guys, to a Burger King, or to Taco Bell, or even eating out and making an outrageous bill because you went out to eat. Then I think, alright, so what else can I do to soak up all this liquor? Potatoes. So we're going to do some small red potatoes. We're going to get a pan, we're going to smash them, we're going to fry them. It's going to be delicious. So let me tell you what we got. We got our eggs, we have our marinade, I'll get that out the way now. Then I have a bowl of water. The water is for the mushrooms. I don't know how many people really have cleaned mushrooms. I know a lot of people love mushrooms, but how do you clean a mushroom? So let me show you how to do that real quick. First thing you want to do when you're trying to clean your mushrooms, you do not want to submerge it in the water, because if you do, your mushrooms will retain the water, they'll become soggy, mushy, and they just really won't taste good. It tastes like you're chewing on a water bed or something, and nobody really wants to eat a water bed. So you dip your paper towel, I like to use a paper towel, and you take your mushroom and you just rub it. You get all the black film and grit off, and you rub it. And that's all you do. Voila, you have a clean mushroom. I'm going to do it one more time for you guys. You just rub it on down. There you go, got you a clean mushroom. We'll do it again. Dip a little water. You just rub it on down. You got you a clean mushroom. So I got a few more mushrooms that I'll get back to in a second. Then I thought too, well, instead of just doing a basic Welch's grape juice, why not make a mocktail? Because I probably had way too much to drink this weekend, and I probably just need something to absorb all the liquor and all the wooziness that I may feel as I sit on my couch. And what works great? Club soda. So what I'm going to do is mix some club soda. I got some frozen grapes. I got a little bit of lime juice. I got a cute little lime garnish. Throw it all in there, swizzle it around, and I got me a nice fancy mock cocktail. So I'm going to show you guys how to get these steaks grilled. In 1 second, I'm going to clean these mushrooms, and I'll be right back. Mushrooms have been cleaned. While I was cleaning the mushrooms, I slide it over and I put my potatoes on. All they are just the small baby potatoes. I didn't show you guys. Let me find a spoon. They're just the small red baby potatoes that you can find in the grocery store. Look for the smallest ones, so that way you can smash them properly. I threw some salt in the water. I turned it on. I made sure that I used cold water, so that way they can cook evenly. So I got that started. The mushrooms are done. Now I'm going to get my onions cooking. So I'm going to slice up an onion. I just used a whole white onion. With this recipe, I'm doing about 3 steaks. So I like to make sure that I use a whole onion. I don't want to, just use half, because when you saute it, the onion will wilt down. It'll, be like half the quantity. And I like to get a really nice caramelization on the onions when I'm doing them for a steak. So we're going to do 1 whole white onion. You can use a red onion, white onion, whatever onion you have on hand, it's fine. I just happen to have a white onion, so I'm going to go ahead and rock with that. The mushrooms, I'm going to chop up now, but but I'm not going to cook them until last minute because mushrooms take even quicker to cook compared to an onion. So I'm going to just throw those in last minute so I don't have to worry about them overcooking. I got some oil. I'm going to throw that in the pan. You know me, my pan's already been preheated. So while you're chopping them, just go ahead and heat up your pan. It's okay. You can put it like on low just to get it ready. Boost it up. Wait a few seconds for the temperature to rise. Just multitask. If you find that you're comfortable multitasking, then do it. If you're not, then that's okay. Take your time because as you cook more, you'll build your confidence. So I have oil in the pan. You hear that? I got a nice little sizzle. Now, when I'm caramelizing onions, I don't want to move them too much. You know, I just want to get them spread out in the pan. And I just want them to let them do their thing. And I want to let them cook. And when I caramelize them, I'll show you guys how I caramelize my onions as they start to cook down and get going. Because there's two things that I like to do to them. There's a few ways that you can caramelize your onions. You can add some water with a little bit of baking soda, and then you can put like a little bit of sugar. But I say skip all that because not everybody may have baking soda, or it may seem too complex. You got to remember when to add it and how much to add. So I just like to do just a little bit of water and a little bit of sugar, and you'll see how they start to break down and brown. So now that we've got that all out the way, we're going to start chopping up our mushrooms. I don't like to go too thin on the mushrooms because, like I said, they'll cook down and they'll end up to mushroom mush. You won't have much of the mushroom left, and then you'll be somewhere confused like, man, what happened to my mushrooms? So I say I do about medium slices on them because they still will cook down. It won't seem that big when you go to put them in your mouth because mushrooms already have a lot of water in them naturally. That's why we don't soak them in the water, because it's just going to absorb extra water that you won't need. And I really think, you know, when you're eating a steak, mushrooms and onions go perfectly. It makes you feel luxurious, like you really at a steakhouse, like you really did something. And you can get 6 mushrooms for about 3 steaks for all of $1.50. You can get a large onion for 45 cents, under $2. You have steakhouse toppings that at a steakhouse will probably cost you $3 to $5 depending upon where you're going. The potatoes, I didn't tell you, we're going to cook the potatoes until they're fork tender. We want the potatoes to be finished. So that way the only thing we have to do is just gently smash them and then put them in our frying pan with a little bit of oil and fry them. Our eggs we're going to do last minute, but I'm going to go ahead and whisk them up because there's nothing like having to rush when you're trying to cook you a quick meal, because I want to have this meal cooked in about 30 minutes to 45 minutes tops. And that's including cleaning up and getting everything dished up and ready to eat. Now, you see I didn't use a whisk because sometimes with eggs you don't have to use a whisk. Just keep it simple. Just make sure, you know, you get them well incorporated together. Smash up your egg yolks before. Sometimes you don't have to always be fancy schmancy. You just have to make sure that it tastes good. And you're probably wondering why are her steaks sitting out on the counter? Well, honestly, my steaks have been out for the past 30 minutes. You're probably thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, it's meat. You can't do that. But yes, you can. Because you don't ever want to cook a piece of meat while it's still cold, because what happens when something's cold? What do we do when we're cold? We stand like this, and we're shivering, and we're shaking, and we're because we're cold. So what do you think meat does? It does the same exact thing. And then what happens when we get inside? We're all, you know, fighting it because we're still cold, and that's what steak does. So we have to make sure that we allow the steak the opportunity to come to room temperature and to mellow out and become one with the temperature that we want to eventually cook it on, so that way our steaks aren't tough, they're not rubbery, and our juices are well distributed. So always let your meat sit out to room temperature. The only meat you don't have to let do that is seafood, and I'll show you guys that once we start making more seafood. But your chicken, your pork, your beef, your veal, what else? Your buffalo, elk, anything you want to cook that is a meat, please let it sit out to room temperature. So I'm going to let these potatoes finish cooking. I got my onions going. I'll be back when it's time for us to throw our mushrooms on, and we're going to cook our steak about when the potatoes are about 50% ready. So we're going to finish letting the steak hang out. We'll come back, finish that up, and we'll make us a mocktail. See you guys back in a few minutes. Hey, welcome back. Now it's time for us to make our cocktail. our mock cocktail, should I say, and finish up these caramelized onions and mushrooms. Now with this mocktail, you want to make sure you just fill up the glass halfway with ice, because we still have our wonderful frozen grapes that we have. And you remember those frozen raspberries we did in our pink lemonade shandy? Well, I don't want to waste, so I'm going to throw some in there too. So everything in here is frozen. You can just take your grapes, you can freeze them the night before if you want, because it makes for an excellent snack. Or you can do it about 30 minutes before you're ready to use them, and they'll be frozen, taste good, and you can use them. Now we're going to do 50-50 of our beverages. If you still want to keep your party going, you can always add champagne instead of club soda. But me, my friends, I've had way too much beer this weekend. I've overindulged, so I'm good on any champagne or beer or vodka. It also tastes good with vodka. I've done it before. That's if you really want to get the party started. Then you're going to fill the rest up with grape juice. I put a little more in here. I don't want to cheat her. I want it to feel special too. Then we're going to take the juice from one lime and we're going to spread it in both glasses evenly. We're going to swizzle it around. Swizzle it. It's okay to make a mess. It's Sunday. Swizzle it. Swizzle it. Funny story. One day I was swizzling really aggressively and I actually broke the champagne glass, and I tried to cover it up before she seen. Didn't happen. Well, I like mine inside. I don't want to be too dainty. But if you like it dainty and soft, you can just put it right on the side and it works out fine. So I'm going to take a sip of this mocktail that I made, and like I said, if you want to turn up, vodka, champagne, good to go. That was good. It's like a Cape Cod minus the vodka and the cranberry, because you get the acidity from the lime, the sweetness, but it's not too sweet because you use club soda. So that was a good one. I like that one. Now we're going to cruise on over here. Here you go, camera lady. Here's your drink. We're going to cruise on over here. I'm going to get that sugar that I was telling you guys about. And I'm going to get me a spoon. And it's just a sprinkle. It's just a sprinkle of sugar. Not a lot. Just a little sprinkle over the, what are these? Onions. We're going to get a little hot water. Just a little bit. I'll say about 2 tablespoons of hot water. We're going to let them cook. And in no time, you'll have perfectly caramelized brown onions. Just keep your eye on it, because once the water gets to reducing, it may burn, it may stick, and you don't want that. Now we're going to check our potatoes, see how they're coming along. Okay, they're about 50%. So now we're going to prep our grill, get my beautifully marinated steaks over here. Let me move this out the way. Put this back here, because I know I'm going to come back to it, because I love me a mocktail. Move this. Clean up just a little bit. Alright. Remember, we're multitasking. It's okay to multitask. It's Sunday. Have fun. Let your hair down. Okay, so this is what I did. I've had my grill pan heated the whole time that I've been talking to you guys, because you want a really nice hot grill pan. You don't want a cold one, a mediocre one, but what you don't want is a too hot one. So what I did was I kept my grill pan on low. Then as I gradually realized, hey, I'm going to be needing my grill pan in about 10 minutes. I cranked it up just a little bit. So now that I'm ready to use it, I'm going to crank it up right on medium low. And I'm going to get some oil, sprinkle it all around the pan. Okay, just all around. Because we don't want our steaks to stick. Nobody wants a steak that's stuck, it's burnt, it's black. That would suck. So now I'm going to grab this steak, not wanting to use my hand. Look at this nice T-bone. And I'm going to throw it back here. Try not to make a mess. You hear that sizzle? And I'm not going to touch it, because I want it to get some nice color. I want it to sear. I want grill marks. So I'm going to grab all of my wonderfully hand-cut T-bone steak. Oh man, I can't wait to eat this. This has been marinating overnight. I'm going to put my third one on. Get rid of my marinade because I don't need it anymore. Alright. Now what I'm going to do, and I encourage every home cook to do, cut your fan on. Because all that smoke, all that soot, it needs a place to where it can escape to. And this is a perfect place in the fan. Now, I know it's going to be hard not to touch your steaks, but please do not touch them. Let them cook. You hear them still roaring and sizzling? That's good. You wanted to do that. So drink your mock cocktail. Talk to your homegirl. Talk to your homeboy or your boo thing that's over. But don't worry about the steaks. Potatoes are almost finished. When I'm getting ready to flip them for the first time on the other side, they'll be finished and we can start frying them. These are almost finished. About another 5 minutes for our onions. Then we'll add in our mushrooms. So what I'm going to do is drink this cocktail, chop it up with my boo thing, and I'll see you guys back in a few minutes. Alright, I'm back. The steaks are about 50% done. I'm going to go ahead and flip this one. I've already flipped the first one. It's almost there. Get nice and brown. How do you guys like your steak? Me, I like them mid-well. So this is almost about mid-well. You go and fill it. The way that you test it is you use your hand right here, and this is rare, medium, and well done. You just use that and you fill it. And that's truly how meat feels when it's all raw. It feels like this all kind of loose, flabby, fatty. This is an indication. So if you're ever like, dang, what does it feel like? And then you go and you feel it and you're like, okay, I feel it now. So that's how you kind of gauge it. Or you can use the temperature, and you can do it based on temperatures with the thermometer. But I know a lot of people probably don't have a thermometer, so this is the best way of doing it. I'm going to stir around these onions just to check them. They're about 50% through. I got my grill on medium. Now I'm going to take my potato and I'm going to smash it gently. See how I smashed it gently? Not too much, but I still want to keep it intact. Just a nice little gentle smash. Check it, you know, as you're smashing it. So that way you make sure you're not overly smashing it, because that would be a nightmare. Then you would have like mashed potatoes. You can hear it like pop right when you're smashing it. I got a little aggressive with that one. Got happy. So I'm going to finish smashing up my potatoes. When we come back, they'll all be smashed. I'll have a pan on the stove so we can fry them and get them on this plate so we can eat this wonderful meal that we're about to prepare. I'll see you guys back in a few minutes. Welcome back. So we got our steaks that are finished grilling. They look beautiful. They're nice and brown. I put them on the platter so that way you guys can see it before I cover it up, because you know that your steaks need to rest. Any meat that you cook on a grill, it needs to, or in the oven, if you roast it, you bake it, you saute it, all meat needs to rest. So please just throw it on a little platter, throw a little bit of foil over it, and just let it rest. I'm going to throw it in the oven so I can keep this warm. So when it's time to eat, we'll have a nice warm steak. I put my temperature at 195, 200. And I took my steaks off just a little bit before they were finished, because I know that I'm going to put them in the oven. Now that we have our nice caramelized onions, we're going to finish it up and add in the mushrooms. If I get this good. Alright. So we're going to add in this last bit. The mushrooms don't really take that long. We're going to mix them in with the onions. Now that we got our onions nice and brown. And we're going to go ahead and sprinkle it with some salt and pepper, because where I buy my mushrooms and onions, they don't come seasoned, and you're going to need to season yours. In the meantime, I got a pan that's on, that's been heated just until it gets hot. Then I'm going to add in some oil so we can pan fry these potatoes. The only thing left is to finish our potatoes, cook our eggs. Hey, we're in the home stretch. Our mushrooms and onions are finished. The oil is nice and hot. So I'm going to take my smashed red potatoes, drop them in there. You hear that sizzle? Sizzle is good when you're cooking, especially with oil. But be careful because you want to make sure that you do not burn yourself. I am a trained professional, so I'm okay with burning myself. Alright, got them in there. Get a little salt and pepper on them. Just a little bit, because you're going to put a little bit on them after. Okay, get this out the way. Now, let's do something with our mushrooms and onions. We're going to throw them on top of the steak. Alright, while we were on break, I did a few just to get them started because I have a lot of potatoes to do. So I'm going to take my mushrooms, mix them all around. I'm just going to throw them right on top over here. So that way we can dig in. It's family style. It's my favorite way to eat because every man is for themselves. Alright. Make sure I get all the goodness out of the pan. Okay, I want you guys to take a quick look at where we're at so far. This is what we have going on. Some potatoes, steaks, mushrooms, and onions. I'm going to throw it back in here. I like to keep it covered with foil so we can retain the moisture. Don't dry our steaks out. Throw it back in the oven. We got a perfect little slot for our scrambled eggs that we're about to whip up. These potatoes take about, I'll say, 10 minutes to cook because you want to make sure that you get a nice sear on the bottom half until they're golden brown and crusty. Don't move them. Just kind of, move a little oil underneath them. If you can, gently, just, apply a little pressure to the bottom. And that's it. It's okay if they don't look pretty. If some part of the potato has fallen off, it's all good. Don't worry about it. So I'm going to wash this pan up real quick. And then I'll be right back so we can make our scrambled eggs. Now it's time to flip our potatoes to the other side. See how they're nice and golden and have a nice crust on them. I'll bring it over so you guys can see it in 1 second. Make sure I get all these bad boys flipped and ready to be cooked on the other side. Remember, you just want to do it gently. Gently as possible. It still is hot oil, so safety first. Look at this. Nice and brown, caramelized. So I'm going to put a little more salt and pepper on them. Then I'm going to take some butter. I already have my pan nice and hot, ready for action. I like to use butter when I'm making eggs. Take a tablespoon of butter for these mama jammas. Rock hard butter, I should say. Almost there. Oh! Let's see if I can get it right the second time. Almost. Maybe I should have let my butter stop. Maybe, just for a little bit. Alright. Now that I got butter in the pan, butter on the floor, I think I'm ready to go. Try not to step on it. Alright. Now we're going to do the fun part. Add in our eggs. Oh, listen to that sizzle. Have you heard how everything tonight has a sizzle? Did you guys hear that? We want to season it. Some salt, some pepper. Get a little more. Okay. Got that going. Moving around just a little bit. That out the way. Push to the back. Alright. Now it's almost time. Now when you're making cheese eggs, you don't want to add the cheese in prematurely. You want the eggs to give them time to kind of coagulate, come together, begin to scramble. Because when you just add the cheese in, it gets all melty and you don't really get to see the cheese. The cheese kind of like disintegrates. I want you guys to see it. So we're going to give it just a little bit of time before we add it in there. Just move it around. Just kind of do the eggs omelet style. Give them the chance to come together. Then we can start scrambling them. Now this is the part right here where you want to add the cheese in, because the cheese also can burn. Turn down your heat just a little bit. I like to get a nice little heaping handful because I'm going to put some on top as well. I'm gonna let it cook down, let it melt in to the eggs for a little bit. Got that. I'm gonna check this one more time. Oh, these are almost ready. By the time the eggs are done, these will be finished. Now we're gonna scramble everything up. I turned down the eye. Oh man, look at these. These are almost finished. Nice scrambled eggs with no brown on them. Turn it down. Don't be scared. You don't have to cook your eggs on high. You know, you can cook them on low to allow the cheese to melt thoroughly, to allow the eggs to scramble and cook and not be burnt. Because there's nothing worse than a burnt up egg. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. So in the meantime, I'm going to get my platter out because now I'm all ready to start serving and diving in. Go. This platter out. Okay. Oh, look at that. Look how beautiful that looks. I'm gonna clean up though, but I just want to get it out so I can get ready to start serving. Okay. My potatoes are almost done. Let's check them though. They could be done. Oh yeah, they're beautiful. Okay. So remember, you want to be careful. Do it gently. Put them on a paper towel to drain off all that excess oil that was on it when we were frying it. Alright, so we got that done. Let's turn the eye off. Alright. Throw these right on top. Let's get back to these eggs. Make sure we're not burning our cheese scrambled eggs. Okay, these are looking good. I'm going to turn the flame off. I'm going to move fast. Ah, this is hot. This is hot. Ah, hot. Hot. Alright. Get that out the way. Now I'm going to take my eggs, crack them up just a little bit. Perfectly nice golden brown scrambled eggs. Throw that back there. Now this is the fun part. This is the money part. Now I'm going to cover up for a few seconds. Allow that cheese to melt naturally. Throw this back there. Alright. Turn all my stuff off. I'm going to clean up. Get ready to present to you guys some wonderfully made breakfast. Some Brenner. I call it breakfast, but it's Brenner. Now I'm going to get me a little garnish chopped up real quick so I can add just a little bit of color to my Brenner. Alright. So add some a little bit right here. A little bit right there. Alright, yeah, look at this Brenner. Alright, let's leave that back there for a few seconds. Let me wipe my hands off. Alright, get this all cleaned up. Okay, now let's try this Brenner. Give me a fork. Oh, look at this. This looks delicious. Look how nice this looks. You guys see this? Do you see this meal we made? Put it on one platter, family style, so we can all just dive in there, get what we need. We got the beautifully scrambled eggs. We have the smashed red potatoes that have been pan fried. We have our grilled steak with our caramelized onions and mushrooms. So I'm gonna try just a little bit of this.